and to change as I had changed. Born a slave in the land of the Franks, I had been freed by the clan of the Wolf, and I had learned what my destiny was. The visit to the witch in Salingar had changed my life. Now we would change the world. Chapter 1. Ranjvald was on his first solid food and was almost walking when the clan held the feast to celebrate our first harvest. We had spent our first year consolidating what we had. We made our home safe and we tilled land. The Franks who had lived here had prepared the fields and we utilised them. Now we reaped the rewards. Our animals had produced young and the ground had borne both fruit and grain. As I rode around the land on my horse, Copper, I was greeted with waves and smiles. They had all followed me from the Raven-Wing Island to this new home. We had had to battle the Franks, but we had won, and we now clung on. Other Vikings had come to take the land from us, but we had stood strong. It was not just the Norse who seemed happy to see me. The Franks were equally content. I reined in at the farm of Rurik One-Ear. He was one of my oldest friends. He was a rock in the shield wall and always stood to the right of me in battle. He had taken a Frank as a wife. Anjatje was not young, but they made a happy couple. She was now with child. Rurik took this as a good sign. The Frank she had been married to had been unable to sire children. Rurik had yet to father a child, and this happy event had changed him beyond all recognition. He had left the Haugr and taken a farm a few Roman miles from our walls. It was a fine piece of land, which was close to the sea and within sight of a large forest. He had 2 slaves who helped him till the land, and he also harvested the sea. He was happy. He stopped work when I reined in.
"A fine morning, Jarl."
I shook my head as I dismounted. "We are old friends. My name is Hrolf. Or have you forgotten?"
"I will never forget my friend who stood alone with me on the island and fought off many enemies. But now you are Jarl. You are due the respect."
I would not win the argument with him. "How's your wife?"
"She will be ready to give birth by the end of the month. She's well."
"We held the Feast of the Harvest in 6 days. It would be good if you would come. Brigid, the alewife, has brewed some fine ale."
"Then I will be there. Anjatje is a good wife, but she cannot brew ale like Brigid."
I looked at the stacks of wheat he had drying in the late summer sun. "A good crop?" He shrugged.
"It is my first harvest, but I think so. The apples are also doing well, but our beans are going better than anything else. Even if we have naught else, we will have beans for the winter."
I looked south to the distant forests. They were in the land of the Franks. We had avoided hunting in them, as we did not want conflict, but I knew that many of my warriors wished to augment their diet with the wild boars they knew roamed there. Perhaps when the leaves have fallen we might take a party and hunt. Many of our men yearn for wild meat."
"That kind of wild meat can cost a high price. Does it do to rouse the Franks, Jarl?"
Marriage and fatherhood had made Rurik more cautious. "We hunt, we do not make war."
"But you know what the Franks are like about their hunting and their forests. They belong to their king."
"Then when you come for the feast we will talk about such things. I would not bring danger to you. There are none who live closer to the Franks."
"Do not fret for me. I now have 2 good horses. I have learned from Rolf the horseman. When first I met you I could barely ride. Now I ride more than I walk."
I reflected on his words as I rode home. It was true. I had the best herd of horses. I had 10 of them and 2 stallions. Already my mares were with foal and my herd would increase. Others had either bought or found horses and emulated me. My people were becoming horsemen. The Franks with whom we lived were also horsemen, and the change seemed natural, like the leaves turning to brown when summer ended. The land we had chosen was fine horse country, with soft rolling hills and verdant, rich pasture. Mary and I spent some time planning the harvest feast. She was a Christian. I had built her a church on the island, which was attached by a causeway. She had managed to find a couple of priests who were happy to live on the island and to hold services.